Welcome back to the Inner Altar, episode 3. So, today I want to talk about something that I think so many women feel, but very few of us actually say out loud. And maybe you felt this too, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've whispered it to yourself while folding laundry, driving in the car, in the middle of a meltdown. Maybe you've thought it while scrolling through old photos, standing in front of the mirror, that quiet little ache that says, I miss the woman I used to be. And for years, I thought that's what I was grieving. I thought I was grieving an old version of myself. But what I realized is that it goes a lot deeper than that. Because when I really sat with it, when I really got honest, I wasn't actually missing who I used to be. I was missing how I imagined life used to feel. And those are two very different things. Because if you ever looked in the mirror and thought, where did I go? Then I think this episode might be for you. I think one of the strangest things about adulthood is that nobody warned you how slowly you can lose yourself. It may not happen all at once. It may not happen in one giant dramatic moment, but little by little, one responsibility at a time, one heartbreak at a time, one survival season at a time. And before you know it, you are still functioning. You're still showing up. You're still paying the bills and you're still raising them kids. Because let me tell you what, girl, you're still making dinner and you're still going to work and you're still being the reliable one. But internally, something does feel different. Like you're carrying around a version of yourself that nobody else can see. We become so many things for so many other people. We become caretakers, partners, employees, businesswomen, moms, daughters, friends, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, we stop asking ourselves one really, really important question. What do I need? Not what does my family need, not what does my boss need, not what my clients need. It's none of that. Not what my relationship needs, none of that, okay? It's what do I need? And after years of not asking that question, you wake up one day feeling disconnected from yourself. I remember looking at old versions of myself, pictures from years ago, okay? And I think, oh my God, there she is. There's the girl I miss. The girl who laughed more, the girl who felt lighter, the girl who had more freedom, the girl who had less responsibility, the girl who hadn't been through everything yet. And I'd stare at those photos feeling this deep sadness, like somehow I lost her. Like somehow she slipped through my fingers and just gone with the wind, And maybe you've done this too. Maybe you looked at old versions of yourself and thought, she was prettier, she was skinnier, she was happier, she was more fun, she was more confident, she was more alive. But here's what I learned. Memory is funny because memory, it does edit things. Memory creates highlight reels, and memory sometimes leaves out details. Because when I look back now, I realize that girl, she wasn't nearly as okay as I thought she was. She was struggling too, just obviously differently. She had insecurities. She questioned herself constantly. She didn't know her worth. She tolerated things she shouldn't have. She carried wounds she hadn't healed yet. Like, I mean, she smiled in photos while hurting privately. Tell me you have not done that. Maybe when life gets heavy, that is when we tend to romanticize older versions of ourselves. We convince ourselves that if we could just become that person again, everything would be okay. But it doesn't work that way because we cannot go backwards. And honestly, we're not supposed to. We have to keep moving forward. The woman you were at 22 wasn't meant to exist forever. The woman you were before children wasn't meant to exist forever. Okay? The woman you were before grief wasn't meant to exist forever. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to go through these experiences, the heartbreaks, the loss, the grief, the trauma, all of it to grow into who we are supposed to be. Life changes us. That's what it does. Okay. And for me, there are several versions of myself I have grieved. I miss the girl that cleaned multi-million dollar rental homes along the coast and would blast music and just clean these beautiful homes with the ocean view. I miss the girl who had a brand new 2015 Chevy Cruze in 2015. I miss the girl before my brother died. I miss the girl before addiction and before anxiety. And if you've listened to previous episodes, you know a tiny little bit about my story so far. I've lost my brother. I've struggled with weight. I have battled some addiction. I've spent years trying to heal things nobody could see. And every single one of those experiences has changed me. Some for the better, some in ways I wouldn't have chosen, but all of them shaped me. When my brother died, a version of me died too. And I really don't mean that in some weird dramatic way. I mean it honestly, because grief really does change you. People talk about grief like it's something you move through, almost like it's a tunnel. But almost like a tunnel, yeah, like a tunnel. Like you one day you come out on the other side. But grief doesn't really work that way. It doesn't, and it rearranges the furniture of your soul if you want to get really internalized with it. I also think of grief as like a body part. Some days it aches and some days it feels good. Some days you don't notice it and some days that's all you can think about. And eventually you learn how to live around it. You learn how to carry it. You learn how to love again. You learn how to laugh again. You learn how to live again. But you're not the same and you're not supposed to be. I think a part of my healing journey has been accepting that we are supposed to change no matter what the circumstances are. We're not supposed to stay the same. And accepting that some versions of me are not coming back ever, and that's okay because motherhood did the same thing, did the same exact thing. I became a mom, and overnight, everything changed. My priorities changed, my body changed, my sleep changed, my identity completely changed. And nobody really talks about the grief that can come with becoming a mother. I am going to go on a whole episode about motherhood. and identity. I'll save that for another time. But becoming a mother also comes with a little baggage of grief as well, because we love our children so deeply, but we can love our children and still miss pieces of ourselves. Let me repeat that for you. We can love our children and still miss pieces of ourselves. Those things, they can coexist. I can adore my daughters with every ounce of my being, but I can also still miss having my freedom. I can love being their mom and still miss the versions of me that only had me to take care of. Both things can be true. And then, of course, there's also my weight loss journey. You know, losing over 60 pounds, 10 pant sizes, and changing physically in ways I never thought I could. And what surprised me most, it really wasn't my body changing. It was realizing that happiness was not waiting at a goal weight. It was not. I thought happiness was 60, 70 pounds away. No, it wasn't. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I am very happy with the body that I am in now. I love her, but I still have some darkness that I'm navigating through. Because even after the weight came off, I was still me. I still had the healing to do. I still had insecurities. I still had wounds. I still had shit I need to face. And that's what taught me something really important, that no version of ourselves is coming to save us. Okay. Not the skinny version, not the younger version, not the successful version. Okay. And definitely not the fucking healed version. All right. The only person who can save us is the version of us willing to sit in the present moment, the reality of it, right here, right now. And I think that's where so much suffering comes from. We spend our lives chasing ghosts, trying to become who we used to be, trying to become who we think we're supposed to be. Okay. Trying to become who social media tells us we should be. Meanwhile, the woman standing right here today goes unseen, uncelebrated, unloved, because we are too busy comparing her to someone else. Even if that someone else is our own damn selves. And maybe that's the invitation here. Maybe that's the invitation. It isn't to go backwards. It's not to find the old you. It's to finally meet the current you. The woman who survived everything. The woman who got back up. The woman who carried her grief. And the woman who carried her babies. The one who carried the responsibilities, carried burdens nobody else even knew about. Okay. And let me tell you what, especially the woman kept going when all she wanted to do was fucking quit. The woman who learned, who evolved, the woman who's listening to this podcast episode right now. Okay, because she deserves your love too. And the truth is, I don't miss the woman I used to be anymore. I honor her, I thank her, and I love her. But I also don't want to become her again, because she walked through fire so I could become this version. And I'm still not perfect, not even close. But I am a little bit wiser. I do have a little bit more softness. I am a little bit stronger. There's a little bit more compassion. I'm definitely more aware. maybe a little bit more authentic too. I finally stepped into my weirdness and started really not caring what others think. And I don't know, maybe for the first time in my life, I'm finally learning how to come home to myself because that is where my true inner altar is. So, if you've been carrying that feeling lately, that heaviness, and you've been saying, I miss who I used to be, I want you to ask yourself something. Do you actually miss who you used to be? Or do you just simply miss feeling free? Do you miss feeling hopeful, feeling connected, and feeling alive? Because those things can still exist, not by becoming who you were, but just by fully embracing who you are right now, today. And I think that's where the inner altar truly is. It's not a place where we resurrect old versions of ourselves. It's a place where we can meet ourselves again, to our bodies and to our hearts and to our truth and just to ourselves, because maybe that's just the greatest healing of all, is just not becoming who you used to be and not becoming someone new, but just remembering that you have been here all along, waiting underneath that noise and underneath the grief and the expectations and the survival, and just patiently waiting for your return back to yourself. So, thank you for sitting here with me today and listening to this episode. And if it resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. So, until next time, take a deep breath and place your hand over your heart and remember that you are not lost. You are simply becoming. I'll see you guys next time.